thing to think about is what kind of coach do I want? Or what do I perform best under? When I was getting recruited, there were coaches that I was like, oh, no way. I would not fit well with them. Our personalities would not get along. So it could be the best school out there. I could have started every match, but I would have been miserable because I'm not in the right environment.
Welcome back to the Significant Recruiting Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Rogers. You just heard a clip from today's guest, my old friend, Sue Weber, a former Division I volleyball player and coach who now works at the center of the volleyball recruiting world and plays a big role as a partner with USA Volleyball. Sue brings a unique perspective, bridging her own experiences as an athlete with her deep involvement in helping families navigate the recruiting process. Before we dive in, make sure you hit that subscribe button and send in your comments. Your support keeps these conversations going and helps more families hear from incredible voices like Sue Weber. And don't forget, the volleyball, baseball, basketball, and softball recruits journals are now available, with the soccer recruits journal dropping later this week. These are perfect companion pieces to the Significant Recruiting book, the playbook for prospective college athletes. You can find them all at CoachMattRogers.com. I also encourage you to follow Coach Weber on Instagram at CoachSue11 and check out her videos on YouTube and Facebook. They are great resources for athletes, parents, and coaches. You can also connect with her professionally on LinkedIn at Sue Weber. Now, let's get into today's conversation with Coach Sue Weber. Sue Weber, so great to see you. It's been a long time. Thanks for being on the Significant Coaching Podcast.
Thanks for having me. You texted me and I was like, yes, absolutely. Let's get on and see what we can do here. Help families and athletes who are looking to play at that next.
Absolutely. I loved working with you. We worked at NCSA for a few years together and we did a bunch of stuff with USA Volleyball together. And I wanted to have you on because I was like, I keep sending your videos. You make these great videos on what a Division I athlete looks like, Division II, Division III, NAI. And I find myself sending them to recruits all the time. It's like, I need to get around because you evaluate kids so well and you break it down so well. So I know you're playing you got lots of hats.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about where you've been and where you've gone. So you were a Division I player, played at U of I, University of Illinois. You were a Division I assistant coach. You've been a director of volleyball recruiting. How has each role shaped the way you're recruiting today?
Yeah, I think it started from the beginning. Like we were just talking a little bit about our backgrounds of being from a small town Illinois kid, right? And it's not a Chicago, like big suburb kid and having these large clubs that I played for. I was at a little club and it was it's very unique because we had 3 hubs, the Springfield, Kankakee area, and then Champaign. And the 3 best players from each hub would play together. So we all played Division I, which is awesome.
That's right.
Very unique where we didn't really practice with each other. So it was just like throwing the best. It was like an all-star club team. So that's very different than these days of club tournaments and practice schedules and whatever else. But that shaped me into, you don't always have to be like the biggest, brightest, I guess you could say, but you have to put in the work. And you have to, especially from a smaller town, you have to use all of your resources. Not just your high school coach, your club coach, but other people that are around you and tap into everything. And then going from, starting every single game as a high school and club player to sit in the bench first year at Illinois, getting in here every once in a while, I had to prove myself again and I had to work for it. Like coming from that small town atmosphere, you just keep plugging along and you try to prove yourself every day.
Isn't it crazy what that league has always been good? The Big Ten's always been great with volleyball, but isn't it crazy almost how dominant it's become?
And now it's coast to coast, right?
Yeah.
Like when I played, I'm aging myself here. Nebraska wasn't even in the conference.
No, it wasn't.
Penn State obviously was a powerhouse when I was playing. Illinois was pretty good.
You guys were good, yeah.
All the time. And it's just, even now, I'm 6 feet tall and I'd be tiny in the Big Ten.
You would be. Yeah.
I'm like, I was a good passer. I might be a libero now.
Yeah.
So just like the change of the game, even from 10, 20 years ago, the recruiting aspect of it, the physicality of the game of the players. And I think also the knowledge, like there's a lot more volleyball knowledge people out there. That a volleyball IQ is getting so high. And now with professional leagues in the States and all over the place. I think I watched 8 hours of volleyball on TV, which is
my wife and I do too. It's constantly on. And it seems like the top 10 teams are always playing each other. It's Texas, Nebraska, Wisconsin, Stanford. It seems like you can watch really great volleyball all the time now. What's the biggest difference for you in what was going on recruiting? Let's just say 10 years ago when you started at the CSA and you got out of coaching. What's changed with how coaches recruit today?
Yeah, I always kid too. It's like when I first started with NCSA, we did have the online videos and the profiles, right? When I was playing and getting recruited, it was like VHS tapes, house writers, like, wait a minute, that's crazy to me. And when NCSA started in 2000, there was no YouTube, there was no huddle, there was no videos online. So I think the ability for college coaches to see more people, more athletes, has really increased over the last 10, 15 years for sure, which kind of levels the playing field a little bit to where you don't always have to recruit locally. I think the Big Ten, we were talking about that, a lot of Midwest kids when I was playing. Now there's California and Hawaii and international, and it just like levels the playing field for the distance. But it also makes it harder for the kids because there's more people out there, more eyes on athletes would have a good fit for that school. So I'd say video has been a huge increase over the years. That's number one. But then there's always the new rule and NIL and the transfer portal and all these things that have come about in probably the last 5 years, honestly, which has really played a lot of uncertainty. I guess you could say that's what we hear a lot from our families. What does this mean? How does this affect me as a recruit? But also, how does it affect the college coaches? With roster limits and different scholarship options. So there's a lot of change to 5-10 years.
If you go back, now I was a head coach for the first time, a head college coach in 2001. Yeah. Yep. I would bet, and I may be wrong, tell me if I'm wrong about this, but I would bet less than 5% of the families of recruits out there understood that it was their job to reach out to coaches, that being found was almost impossible. It was maybe 10% of kids would get found somewhere. Do you feel like that's changed in terms of the education and how many more families understand they've got to do some outreach? They've got to send an email. They got to make a phone call. Do you think that's been a big part of the change?
I think so. I think people are leaning in on recruiting help, whether that's, like I mentioned, from recruiting services or from their club director or club recruiting coordinator or high school coach maybe played. So I would say a lot more advice is getting presented to families. And you're right. You're absolutely right. Like the 2% of people of the 2% are going to get exposure and get seen. Right. Those tweeners that I could play Division I, but maybe I'd be better fit for Division II or NAIA that have that. Maybe they didn't know to reach out before. And now they're getting the education, the help that they need to get out there.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. When I started, I was a Division III coach. I might hear from 3 to 5 kids a week.
Yep.
I was talking to a D3 coach the other day, and I think he got 28 recruiting emails during our interview, during our conversation. He got done. He goes, Matt, we just got done talking about recruiting. I just got 28 emails since we started talking. I was like, oh my gosh, it's crazy.
Yeah.
But it's fun. But again, I think it makes it harder on recruits because there's such a volume now. And being specific is so important. Doing your research on the schools, making sure you're reaching out to the programs that really you think you can play there, fit everything about you, not just athletes.
For sure. And I think you said it's much harder on the athletes. It's harder on the coaches too, honestly. And it is a relationship. I always kid that you will cut my rose this week. Will you just in contact? So it's kind of like a dating game, which is weird to say, but it is much a relationship. And you're going to be with the athlete and you're going to be with the coach for hopefully 4 years. That's the big plan. But I also think it's nerve-wracking on the college coach side to offer a scholarship to a kid and not know if they're going to say yes or no or ghost you.
All right.
So you got to put yourself in both shoes or both sides of the story here. which I have been. I've been on both sides, which is unique insight into both sides.
Yeah, you have, and you have such a knowledge base that I think is just, it's wonderful. I told you before we started, I'm constantly sending the videos that you've done to my recruits because you do such a good job of showing a 5-minute video and saying, this is why this kid is a Division I recruit. It's the speed. It's not just the size.
Right.
It's how they use their speed. It's how they use their athleticism. It's how they use their size and their IQ and their EQ. So I just appreciate that. Anybody out there, just Google Sue Weber volleyball videos, and you're going to learn a lot just by one.
I appreciate that.
Let's dive into volleyball because I work with a ton of volleyball kids. I don't know how that happened, but I probably 50% of my clientele is volleyball. I work with a ton of them. What do you think the 3 top things coaches are looking for in a volleyball recruit these days? Are there 2 or 3 things that just jump out to you? This is what separates one kid from another.
Yeah. And I think there's always the skill. You have to have the skills. You have to have what they're looking for. You have to have a certain level of talent, but also like academic. A lot of schools are looking at the academic fit as well. But like I have 2 5'10" kids. They're both jumping similar. They both pass. They're both 6 rotation players. How do I make that difference? The differentiating decision. It's communication. I would say that's a huge part of it. Do you not just communicate a lot, but do you communicate well? And are you thoughtful? Are you asking the right questions? Do you want to learn? That type of thing and advance. But I think the inquisitiveness of the communication is important in the recruiting process. How you are as a person. I always kid about this too, is when I'm watching a game, I come early, the tournament's off schedule per usual, and the kid's blind judging.
Right.
Are you paying attention? Are you just goofing around on your phone? Are you throwing your water bottle to your mom and dad to fill it up? Those things will carry over into your future life as well. If you're a good teammate, if you're a good person, those things carry over and make that decision. Those are 2. They're just more like personalized communication, good person, and then just overall like effort, I would say too. Things that don't take talent, right? You can be on time. You can be a good communicator. You can put in the effort level. So those are key on making the final decision.
I don't think families understand this. And I catch myself at my daughter's club matches. I don't think families understand how much body language a moment will affect a coach's decision and go, okay, I'm done with her. Yeah, she's 6'1". Yeah, she can touch 10-3. But gosh, how she dealt with her coach there, how she dealt with her teammates there, how she keeps looking over at her parents every time she makes a mistake or needs that validation from her parents. For so many coaches, it's okay, I got 20 more of you to watch later today. I can cross you off my list, or I'm going to drop you way down on my list.
Or I'll need to watch you again, how you mature as a player. And at the Division I, you're watching kids when they're 13, 14 years old. They're very different when they're 15, 16, 17. And the game is different. I talk about liberos are usually the last to get recruited sometimes. And because it's easy to take a 14-year-old hit, it's not as easy to take an 18-year-old hit. So I think you're spot on, though. The family aspect of it, or understanding that the body language dynamics and just how you interact with people, and especially kids these days, they want to text, they want to send emojis or memes. They don't want to really talk to you face to face sometimes. But I do think in a team sport, so important to have the ability to communicate well. And on the parent side, if you're, I'm like, who is the parent of this child? What's wrong?
That's why I'm constantly checking myself. I'm like, oh, sit down, be quiet, shut your trap.
I'll look at how tall mom and dad are too.
Yes.
How loud they are sometimes as well.
That's right. There's multiple sides of what you can look by. You can evaluate by seeing a parent. I'm going to do a shameless plug here. It's not intentional, but I just wrote all these journals. I just wrote the softball journal and the volleyball recruits journal. And I did it because I'm finding so many 15 and 16 and 17-year-olds haven't thought about what kind of student athlete am I? What kind of teammate am I? What kind of coach do I need? And I wrote the journal with those prompts so kids can start thinking about it. How much are you facing and seeing when you're working with a family and you're working with a kid where they're so used to texting, like you said, they're so used to answering with one word or emoji or something that doesn't even spell the word. It's almost like you need a translator. How much of that is affecting a recruit when they're trying to communicate with a coach, or they're simply not prepared when a coach calls?
Yeah. And I would say the coaching dynamic, the coaches have gotten younger too, right? So it's like you have, as a recruit, if that's a younger coach, do I want a younger coach because I can speak their language a little bit more? Or
Yeah.
do I want an older coach that's more like, maybe like my parents or like my trainer or whatever? So
Right.
I think that's a very important thing to think about is what kind of coach do I want? Or what do I perform best under? When I was getting recruited, there was coaches that I was like, "Oh, no way. I would not fit well with them. Our personalities would not get along." So it could be the best school out there. I could have started every match, but I would have been miserable because I'm not in the right environment. So those are very good questions to ask. And I think what's cool about, I'll give a little shameless plug too with IMG and NCSA is we do have the mental performance and how to face fear and nutrition training even. It's like all those things we didn't have when we were growing up as athletes, but it's been a very important part of the game for sure.
It's huge. And I think we keep talking about the volume of recruits out there these days compared to the opportunities out there. I mean, we're hearing Division One coaches say out loud, we are no longer recruiting pressure. They're coming out and saying it. So I think to be able to separate yourself as a recruit, you can't just say, I'm going to work on my ability and my character. There's so many layers to give you that edge where it doesn't have to consume your time. It can be 10 minutes a day. It can be 40 minutes a week where you're working on some of those things. There's so many great resources that you guys offer that families they need to pay attention to. What are some of the common mistakes families are making when they're starting the recruiting process?
Yeah, when they're starting, and everybody's journey is different. The timeline is totally different. College coaches recruit at different times. Like I mentioned, when Division One will start watching at 13, really young. But Division Three, sometimes they don't. They need to know what your scores are, or if you can get accepted to the school before they can really pay attention to you. Sometimes, so I think sometimes people start later than they think, oh, no, I can't talk to coaches until June 15th or September 1 or whatever for volleyball is June 15th. But the recruiting process starts way before that. And you could do research on schools. You can watch on TV now, which is amazing. You can compare yourself. I think I say that in the video.
Yeah, you do.
Go watch Division 3. Go watch Division 1 and see, am I similar to one or the other? So I think they just think that they're going to get recruited or coaches are going to find them, like we had mentioned earlier, versus putting in some work earlier on in the process and doing some research.
Yeah, it's so essential. And this, I'll put some context in that this is one of my pet peeves. What do you say to a high school coach, a high school athletic director, a club coach that tells a kid, you don't have to worry about recruiting till your junior year, after your junior year? What do you say to them?
Oh, that sucks because everybody's journey is different. So they need to say that they shouldn't start researching something earlier than later or start looking into something. If you want to be a doctor or a veterinarian or whatever, you're not going to just be like, oh, I'll just be one. Wouldn't take.
Yeah.
You're going to have to do some research and prepping and take tests and prep for those tests and whatever else. So I think I don't want to say naive, but I think it's just don't fit everybody into one bucket. Not everybody has the same journey as maybe they did as a coach or player too.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, it really comes down to the early bird gets the worm. The earlier you do anything, when do we tell our kids, hey, you've got a paper due in October. Let's start it the day before.
Exactly.
We don't go
stress you out really a lot versus trying to get.
Yeah, we've got a new home. We have to move by this date. Let's start looking the day before or the week before. It just doesn't make any sense in any other part of our life. And the earlier we start our recruitment, the more options we have.
And sometimes it's not reaching out to every single coach out there.
Exactly.
It's doing the research. It's doing the dirty work behind the scenes. So you feel prepared. I think we talk about that all the time. Is you're not going to go into a test and cram the night before. You're going to prepare. You're going to learn. You're going to read the book. You're going to do some practice testing. before you go into it. Right on. And there was, yeah.
Yeah. It's so powerful to be able to start early, and you don't have to work fast then. You don't have to make quick decisions. You can take your time and evaluate and compare and contrast, like you always say. Let's take that typical 15-year-old volleyball player. What do they need to understand about the process in terms of just the little things that they can start doing at the end of their sophomore year or the beginning of their sophomore year that you recommend?
Yeah. Sophomore year is, I think you'd see it in club too, right? There'd be a lot of 12 and 13-year-old teams, and then you're only having one or two, maybe 17, 18-year-old teams, because around that sophomore year, you make that decision of, is this real for me? Or am I like, this is just for fun?
Right.
For fun is fine. I think go play for fun, play every sport you can. I was a 4-sport athlete in high school. I would recommend that to anyone, honestly. But don't play just because your mom played in college. Don't continue on. Make it your decision in your process. So I know that's hard for a 15, 16-year-old to do, is ask those tough questions to yourself. But I think you'll be much happier in the future if you're doing it because you want to do it, and take some ownership in that.
Isn't it funny if you go watch a high school match or a club match, there's always that one kid that's just like, that is a gym rat, right?
Yep.
They still want to hit after the match is over. They just played
3 hours of volleyball, and they're like,
that's right. Just get enough of it. And college coaches love that, because if you're already ready to get off the floor, if you're already so excited to go get on your phone and be done with volleyball, what's it going to be like when it's your life, when it's 10, 12 months out of the year? So you got to love it. So I love the advice. If it's not there for you, maybe play, but maybe college isn't for you. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a tough question sometimes to ask yourself, but it's important for both sides. The college coach doesn't want you if you don't want to be there, and you're going to be miserable if you don't want to be there. So let's make the right decision.
We just had all those questions in my house. The lunch is
And they're important.
Yeah.
Either way, there is no right or wrong answer either. That's what I always say to people. This is your life. These are your decisions. These are your questions. Don't do it because I want you to do it. I want you to make your own decision. But you were kidding around about gym rat. I'll tell you a story about Erin Virtue, who was one of my teammates at Illinois. She was the Olympic assistant coach for Karch. She's the head coach at Michigan right now.
Yeah.
She would try working on her jump serve all the time, and her feet would sweat so much that her shoes would squeak, and there's water all over it. And we're like, Erin, get the heck out of the gym. But you can see where she went, sniping with her coaching experience. I think that's funny.
Yeah.
Like gym rat, I'm like, oh, that's Erin Virtue.
I think that's where parents struggle with the evaluation of their own child. Is they see talent, they see size, they hear, I love it, I love being with my teammates. But when you got to get them to go outside and work on their serve off the garage door for 10 minutes or pass for 10 minutes, and they go, nah, I don't really want to do that. There's a sign there that maybe the higher levels may not be right for them. Maybe something lower for them might be better.
Yeah, for sure. I think I had the really cool opportunity to go to the Paralympic and Olympic Hall of Fame celebration with Ruth Nelson, which I want to recommend you for the next podcast.
Yeah, set me up. Let's do it. Yeah, it'd be great.
Those are like the one. Carrie Walsh was there. Ruth was accepting the honor for Flo Hyman. Amazing. And Bodie Miller was there with skiing. And there's just so many crazy people there that.
Very cool.
I thought I was decent. I was like 1% of the 1% going to Division I. But these people are a next level.
Yeah.
And I think there's always the next level. So if you think you can skate by as a high school athlete, there's always someone else out there working their butt off for sure.
That's right. I just had dinner with a guy who won 4 Stanley Cups at the NHL level. He didn't get drafted. He had to go overseas and played as a chump for 2 years and finally got recognized and got a chance to come back to the States. And he played for 15 years and won 4 Stanley Cups. And he goes, Matt, I was the smallest guy on every team I ever played on, but I had to prove that I had the heart. I had to prove I had the work ethic, and I loved it so much I would do anything to get better, Yeah.
So and those are kids out there too. Maybe not be the biggest or small or that, but they have the work ethic that they will outwork everyone.
Exactly. And every coach loves those kids. You can't have enough of those kids in your program because they're hard to find.
Yeah.
Let's finish with something that's probably the biggest question you and I both have to deal with throughout our days. And that's the idea of travel club volleyball and travel ball, whatever sport it is. And I love asking this question to college coaches because it's always a different answer than I think what parents expect. Okay. Or maybe a little bit different than what they expect. What is when you see the value of travel volleyball, you talked about being a four-sport athlete. For some four-sport athlete, it's really tough to play travel of anything.
Right, for sure.
What is your advice to families that are going through that decision? They got a kid that's great at volleyball, great at basketball, great at softball, track. They love playing three sports. So it's really hard to also play club volleyball in the spring and summer if you're doing all that. What's your advice to them when they're thinking about making their kid or their kid giving up those sports they love? How valuable is travel volleyball and club volleyball for that kid to get recruited?
Yeah, and I think there's a balance, right? You have to get seen. You have to be out there playing, and coaches need to be able to evaluate you live. A lot of the stuff we do and is on video, right? Because there's just so many kids out there. You can't go watch every single one. And that's similar to the college coach side. I think club is important. It may not have to go to 20 national tournaments and all of them, because if you're on that coach's radar because you've done your research and you've emailed that coach and you've had some communication, hopefully, at different levels or however it happened, that coach will then come see you. So when I was a college coach, I would make my recruiting calendar by the people that I am recruiting, not just I'm going to go to this tournament every single year. Right. The kid wasn't there that I wasn't recruiting. I'm not going to go to that tournament. I think there's some out there. I'll do the disclaimer that are like nationals, right? You're going to go to nationals because every single person is basically there. But I do think you can play for a more local club or regional club. And if you do more work on the communication side, college coaches will still see you. We'll still get there. So there's a balance. I think you do have to play because you have to get evaluated and seen. Are you on the first team here or on the fourth team here? That's another old follow-up or a question we go in.
But I think the idea is if you see a kid on film, it's wow, there's something special there. And maybe they're not going to be playing at nationals in Dallas, or they're not going to be in Atlanta for that tournament you're going to go to. You're going to try and find a way to learn more about that kid, see them play some shape or form, right?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And that's where the video is your trailer to the movie. I don't know if I can say that in the videos either, but that's your.
It's a great metaphor.
Yeah, that's your button. What is it? Sizzle video, whatever you want to call it. To get that person's attention. And that's why I always say put your best clips first, because you want to grab that attention so then they can go watch the movie wherever you are.
Yeah. Coach, it's so great to catch up with you. You've got such a great mind. You work so well with whether it's coaches or student athletes. You're just always fantastic about it. You've got a great demeanor about you. So I can't recommend you enough to any family going through this recruiting process. Tell them where they can find you if they want to follow you and learn more about you.
Yeah. So I'm on the socials, right? I'm on Instagram mostly at Coach Sue 11. You can grab me there. You can find me on Facebook and say Coach Sue. But yeah, I think LinkedIn, if you're the business side of the watchers, I'm on LinkedIn for under Sue Weber too. But I just think it's important to ask questions and use all your resources. This is a great resource. Your book's a great resource. Your club coach is a great resource. Like, don't just get blinders on and listen to one person, get a whole bunch of different opinions.
It's great advice. Thank you for having the conversation. I miss talking to you, and anything I can ever do for you, you got me. Just call.
Hop over the mountains. Come on.
I know we're a lot closer than we used to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks, Coach. Have a great start to the school year.
Awesome. Thank you.
That wraps up my conversation with Sue Weber. What I love about Sue is how she blends her experience as a Division I player, a coach, and now as someone working every day in the recruiting space. She understands both the athlete's perspective and the college coach's perspective, and that makes her advice so valuable for families. Make sure you're following her on Instagram at Coach Sue11, and remember, you can always follow me at Coach Matt Rogers. And don't miss her videos on YouTube and Facebook. She's putting out outstanding content that can help you better understand and prepare for the recruiting journey. You can also connect with her on LinkedIn at Sue Weber. And as always, don't forget to grab your copy of the Recruits Journals, now available for volleyball, baseball, basketball, and softball, with the Soccer Recruits Journal coming later this week. They're designed to keep you focused, help your student athlete get organized and better understand their value and how to communicate with coaches. And it also just helps them prepare for every step of the recruiting process. I wrote the journals so any family that wants to start the process, it takes you from the beginning and helps you all the way through the end. You can find all of my books and resources at CoachMattRogers.com. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you're sending these episodes and my blog to those families or friends or coaches who you think they might help. And I always appreciate your comments. Don't be afraid to leave me a note, even if it's something critical saying, Matt, I wish you'd do this better. I wish you'd have some guest like this on. I'd love to hear it. Anything I can do to help, I want to do it. Until next time, stay focused, stay humble, and stay in the fight.